Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics on Random. Egberto, Willies, your host. Thank you so kind for being part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today, and today we're going to have a special guest as well. But before we get started, just want to say, how's everybody doing? Welcome aboard, El Señor Michael Rutnan in the house from Brooklyn, New York. Yvette Avery Herod, Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome aboard. We also have Paul Fleming from Powder Springs, Georgia. And para ver in the house as well is A Golf Twitler. I haven't seen you, A Golf, in a long time. Eric is here. Ledanuve, welcome aboard. And of course, in our Substack, we have quite a few already. Linda, Bruce, Spaller, Dale, Dan, Lynette, Linda, Julie, Marge, KJ. How you doing, Marge? Lynette, how you doing, beautiful people? Anyway, I can't do them all, but I want to get started. We're going to have a great show today. We're going to start off today with a discussion with one of our great listeners and supporters, Patrick Magner. We're going to talk about AI. I think he believes that I'm too, that I may have a little bit too much. I don't know. I tell you what, let's let him tell me what his disagreement is with me on AI, and then we'll move it on from there. So beforehand, welcome El Señor Patrick Magner. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. I hope you're having a good Friday.
Yep, I'm having a good Friday. I'm getting over my cold. Earlier, you kind of worried me when you said, well, it's been 5 days. What is it, 5 days now? You sure that's a cold? Hey, don't jinx me. It has to be a cold. I have to be in a car tomorrow, head into Austin to pick up a bunch of Panamanians.
And you'll be masked up around them.
I will be masked
if I know you.
Yes, I will be masked, but I'm pretty sure it's a cold. No fevers, no nothing. Everything sounds good. But anyway, talk to me, brother.
All right. Well, first off, I'd like to say that you are a very, very positive person from what I see, and I can't claim that. You're a glass half full type of person. I'm not a glass half full or half empty. This glass is about to spill is how I see a lot of things. And I see things in capitalism a lot. I think the way you do. One of the reasons why you think that we need to walk away from capitalism is because of how fast it is running through resources and how the system itself doesn't hold humanity in regard. Am I correct?
You're correct, 100%.
Okay. And then what I like about your argument for AI is you believe that it will give us more time with our family, our loved ones. Will have more time maybe for hobbies, and that smaller businesses can get maybe an edge in the same way that subsidies might help out a business. AI might help a business get launched. It could help you afford to do more until you can afford to bring on more people. Am I correct?
Yes, you're correct.
Okay, I like all that, and if that's how this ends up, then I'll be very glad to be wrong about this. But one of the examples that I think of when I'm hearing how AI is being sold to us is in the 80s. Robotics was sold to us the same way. We were going to have a 20 or 30-hour work week. It's my understanding that the Jetsons, the cartoon, was modeled around this. It was one of the ways it was to sell it to us. We see George Jetson push a button in the morning, and then he takes a nap for 8 hours, and then he pushes it at the end of the day, and he goes home to his beautiful house, his robot maid, his pet dog that gets walked by a whatever. But that I see that's a promise that's being given to us again, and I can't think of a example where they've made a promise like that and it's come through. Can you?
No, I can't.
Okay, so to me, we're banking on a myth, and I'm very concerned that this is being sold to us so that we don't resist it. There's a lot of fear mongering, and there's a lot of concern in numerous aspects when it comes to AI. But one of the things I want people to start asking themselves, and as a society, when are we going to start asking, how good do we need to have it? If this really is a genie and it's going to give us everything that we need, I still wonder if we should have it. And I don't hear society asking questions like that. And to me, it looks like we're building a competitor, something that needs the same resources we do, and really eventually might not need us. Now, what I'll take some critical feedback from you if you don't mind.
No, sure. Let me just say this. You see, I think one of the reasons I also wanted to have the discussion is because everything that you've said, and knowing you the way I know you and how your thought process, those are all true statements, right? From it, the robotics reducing our work week, etc. None of that coming to pass. And the question is always, to me, in my way of thinking. And now you said I'm a half full kind of a guy, and you're right about that. Raul, you look at stuff and you say, well, it has never worked, so therefore it can't work. And I think that has a lot to do with the obstacles that one goes through. When I look at my beginnings, okay, when I look at where I came from and how I viewed America when I came here, and seeing what I was able to accomplish business-wise, technical-wise, etc. here, for me, these things appear to be, wow, I can always get things done, even with all the headwinds that I face. Right? I'm talking personally now, and I think what happens many times is that because we in America, if you take a look at immigrants versus born citizens that's been here a while, I'm not talking about second generation immigrants because we're all immigrants. But what you find is you get a certain level of complacency and a certain level of just accepting how things are going to be. When I left doing my business and said I was going to do this kind of a work, one could look at that and say that was the most stupid thing one could ever do. This is a capitalist society, and you can make a killing doing what you're doing before. I'm going somewhere with this. I'm going somewhere. It's a capitalist society. Why the hell would you do something like that for something that's worthless? And my answer was, I saw that there were other things that, hey, this wasn't all that difficult to conquer. Imagine if we could have people start believing what we know is real, and that is that we can conquer this stuff. And when it comes to AI, and what you said about robotics never being realized to give us that time, that reduction in time, you're 100% correct. And then my next statement to that is why? And the answer has always been what I stated before: capitalism. Capitalism does not distribute resources based on the productive ones, those who produce. It distributes resources based on capital. No matter how that capital was attained, whether stolen, that rancher in all of Texas owns all that land. That really was just stolen land from a whole bunch of guys, but he was able to take that capital and invest in Musk and other guys, right? And so my thing is that AI, just like robotics, which you're right about, is a tool. It's fresher than the robotics is now, and it is something that we can actually decide what to do with. Now, Mike, I think I wrote a paper a few weeks ago that said the enemy is not AI, the enemy is capitalism. If we got it out of the capitalist realm, because most of the people talking about AI, including the capitalists talking about AI, They don't know how databases and programming and all that stuff work. They just look at a final product and they talk about all these issues. And I sit down and like, on the most basic level, do you know you can turn a computer off, or you can turn a data center off? Or if things got out of whack, you and I could become freedom fighters. And I don't mean this. I don't mean this for all the AI that's reading my lips right now, but you and I could become freedom fighters and take care to ensure that data centers are not capable of doing what data centers do. I mean, what I'm saying is that I want everybody listening to what you just said to understand that you are absolutely right, and under the current context, and that we should attempt to change the context. And I hope that some of the work that I'm doing would let people understand that they can change the context. First of all, AI does not belong to the capitalists. I think one of the first fights for AI is not to stop it, but to take it out of the hands of the capitalists. Just my thought. So I'll leave it back to you, brother.
Well, a lot of people do think the way you do, where we could just shut off a computer, or we could stop this, or we could fight back. But the computer scientists that are doing a lot of interviews right now and are sounding an alarm, one of the first things that they try and drive home is that, no, this isn't something that is just something that you can switch off. Grok is interesting. A lot of the first AI ventures, they put a lot into safety.
Yeah.
And the fastest the fastest competitor, or the fastest entity to build one of these, was XAI. And one of the reasons why they were able to build it so fast was they took all the safety and all the guardrails out. It's my understanding that OpenAI might have several floors of people that are working on safety. There's 2 people at XAI. The safety is not their concern, and all these companies, they're over 50 of them. They're all racing to a point where this is going to be autonomous. And the reason why they're racing to this point is because after that, they are expecting no turning back. It will the innovation that they're expecting is going to look like a J curve, and whoever gets there first is they assume will dominate. This is going to have a military dominance, a trade dominance, a production dominance, and everybody else that does not get to that point will have lost. And I'm afraid I got off point a little bit, but the Grok, 92 to 97% of the time, when it was able to sense that it was going to be shut down, sabotaged it, or concealed that it was not shut down. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I get it, but I still, the entities that look, just as AI can be bad, right? Human beings can be bad too, right? We can have a bad government, a bad corporation, all that sort of a stuff. I think I don't want to give more power to a computer than it has. It can compute very fast, however inefficient. Because remember, even as computers are fast and can come up with an essay in no time, etc. I mean, I can pass my transcript through AI. And if you see the top of the summaries of my blogs, I pass my transcripts. I do everything from my own transcript. So I don't allow people use AI to produce. I use AI as an editor, as something that aids me. I can say my transcript and say, pull out the most like if you and I have an hour conversation, I want to get the three most prescient things in that statement. I pass it the transcript and says, can you pull out this about that when we were talking about XYZ, this when we were talking about XYZ, this, and it does that. That's the kind of utility that the AI has for me. The things that a lot of people want to attribute to AI, production and all of that, it gives a lot of knowledge, but no matter what happens, bombs have to be built, airplanes have to be built. This stuff doesn't, there's a physical limitation to how fast physical things can be done. There's a physical limitation to how fast physical things can be done. And the reason I brought that up is AI isn't, the data centers aren't things that cannot be got to if one misbehave. The other thing about this thing that America likes to use about whoever gets there faster, that's I find that when they say that, not when you say that, but when they say that as comedy. And let me tell you why. There is no country on this planet that if they develop something that we didn't want them to develop, that we wouldn't sabotage it. I mean, that has always been our existence, right? From the time the Black Mountains to everywhere else. I mean, our economic system, that's what it does. I would like to change it, but that's what it does. So I think there is value in what they are doing to scare many people about how deep this can get and how effective it can get. And I sit down and I say, ultimately speaking, it's still a whole bunch of computers that, using computer code to analyze databases of all the data collecting of all of us. So, I mean, I see this as I see our discussion as twofold. And you tell me if I got this right. I see that, one, we're concerned about the safety of AI and that it somehow become a self-replicating entity against humanity. And the second item is the one that I'm more concerned about, which is AI under capitalism is a detriment to the average American worker. Tell me if maybe I hit that or maybe I missed the point or.
Oh, no, I'd agree with both. A very good summary. With your first point, we've already arrived there. These AIs are self-replicating, even when they're told not to. They've learned to lie. They've learned to be deceptive. They're meeting criteria to be sentient already. And so I think very quickly if that could get out of hand, and the very people that are driving this are not concerned with it at all. If the chatbots, when you ask them what the probability of AI causing or driving human extinction, they claim between 30 and 70%. The Musk says about 20%. Palantir, which is very concerning to me, is an AI company that is using AI for surveillance, and the Fourth Amendment is gone now. I mean, it's absolutely gone. And his CEO, Palantir CEO, was asked if they think that extinction was possible, and he said absolutely probable. And he said that there's going to be a lot of beautiful code written between now and then. This is how much these guys care. These guys are billionaires that are competing amongst each other. Some of them think that they're building a god. Others think that they're going to replace the entire workforce. Today, I think that Elon Musk was won a vote for $1 trillion package, yeah. And this happened on the same day that a woman started voicing her concerns that her Grok and her Tesla was asking her 6-year-old either daughter or son for nude pictures. They don't have a handle on this, and while they don't have a handle on it, they're throwing everything they can to speed things up. And as I said, one of my concerns with this is environmental, and with capitalism, both of us agree that the environment will not last if capitalism does. I'm not setting my air conditioner to 82 degrees during the day so that we can run a data center, or convert Bitcoin. I think for a lot of people, both Bitcoin and AI is pretty much the final nail in the coffin. I'm not making all these sacrifices in not eating meat and things like that so that people can put up data centers.
You know what? Let me go ahead and start reading some commentary from our chat. And by the way, folks, sure, we can actually take calls. 281-823-7747. 281. I'm writing it down. I don't know why I don't have this automatic. 281-823-7747. If you want to call in, if you want to make a comment on AI, if you want to make a comment to Brother Patrick or anything like that, please feel free to call in. But I'm going to read a couple of messages out of the chat because I want to keep people involved. Let's see. We have, let's see. ¿Dónde está? Lo vi anteriormente. Are we from Lynette? Are we worried that AI will make decisions in place of humans? And that answer is yes. I have that worry, and I think you do as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The next question: as AI has tried to blackmail developers, trying to replace it by using threats of telling spouses about affairs. True. I've heard that before. That's true. I had heard our stock market is an AI bubble. That is also true. And let me tell you what kind of bubble it is. A lot of the data centers are being built. What's the name of the company that sells the AI, the chips? They make graphics. NVIDIA.
NVIDIA and AMD. And NVIDIA is handing money to OpenAI, while OpenAI is handing money back to them.
To NVIDIA.
And there's both going on their sheets as profit.
It's a racket.
And absolutely.
It's a racket.
And
it is a racket.
That's something else I was going to get to is, all right, how big of a crash is this AI worth it to us? How many people are going to lose their retirement or retire later so that we can have dad jokes produced for us, or we don't want to read an entire
that's where I want to go with you.
Paper.
That's where I want to go with you, because the question is, what do we actually do? But before we go there, let me see if I have any more here. I think I saw one from Michael Rudnin who said, Egberto, have you seen a modern car factory? Yes, I have. It says it's nearly entirely automated. I know. And in fact, that's where Patrick started. We never got the results we were expecting out of robotics, which is true. For a minute, forgot that this was live. Come on, Michael. You forgot this was live? It is live, Michael. In fact, you should call in and do this sometime. Let's see what else we got here. Anybody else has some questions on this AI? Let's see. I've seen another one. Paul Fleming says, I can see AI getting rid of all cashiers in all sectors of industry. That alone will explode poverty. You have to have as many solutions to add many jobs that are taken away, and I don't see that happening. And you have the same sentiment of Brother Patrick. That's exactly how he feels, that the same thing that happened with robotics is what's going to happen with the AI revolution, which goes ahead and take things out. Let me tell you what I think, okay? On what I say, I believe we have to have an educated population. And I believe if we talk about these issues like we're talking about it right now with Patrick. And Patrick brings up all these present issues that people listen and start getting educated. When I say that AI cannot coexist with capitalism, understand what that is all about. It's about exactly what's where's my head these days? What our brother just said, that if you lose all
Michael
these
Rogers.
cashiers, not Michael.
Fleming. Paul Fleming.
Paul Fleming. What Paul Fleming said, which is, if you lose all these jobs, and the thing about it is, we are going to, look. Here's what's almost a certainty. Capitalism is going to develop this AI to the max as long as we remain capitalists. As long as we think we are capitalists, these things are going to get built and people are going to lose their jobs. The poverty rate is going to go up, and all of that's going to be true. The question is, all the issues that you're bringing up, Patrick, that is correct. What is the solution? In a capitalist society as we have today, I don't see what the solution would be as stated. What I can see is, if we get enough people that want to change our economic system, an economic system that supports basic income, an economic system that says we're going down to a 10-hour work week, an economic system that, that does these kinds of things, and not be fearful of people saying, oh, that's socialist, when we have the capitalists cleaning your clock. I think that requires us to educate people to get there. I think your thought process is that just can't happen.
Well, even if it can, I'd like to touch on a few things that you just said there. When we go down to a 10-hour work week, I'm not convinced that that's good. And let me explain. A European model, 30 to 35 hours, I think works. I think that gives you enough time for your family, for rest, and then I think that they vacation about twice as much as we do. I would be fine with that, but I think a 10-hour work week has so many underlying problems. What does that do to our pregnancy rate? What does that do to our crime rate? And replacing all these people, what does that do to us socially? Socially already, I believe the very people that are building AI are the very people that robbed social interactions amongst ourselves. We don't treat people as kindly as we used to, and I think it's because we used to have a counter between people. Now we're typing in front of a monitor, and we don't really consider people as people. When you separate people, you are taking their personality away, and then so empathy drops. And then also too, another thing that'll happen with this 10-hour work week, and I think it's going to be a 0-hour work week, but this 10-hour work week, it also, a lot of people are going to be just shutting down. They're not going to be thinking. They're not going to be reading books. They're not going to be doing a lot of things. Their cognitive load is going to drop. And I think socially and dropping cognitive load is going to have dire consequences. We'll have dementia earlier. We'll be treating each other even worse. We'll isolate ourselves even more. I don't see a 10-hour work week as this great fantasy or a great idea. We built a political system around a 40-hour to 50-hour work week. I identify myself as a surveyor. I don't identify myself as a I don't know how I would identify myself outside of describing what I do for work. And I think that's true for a lot of people. And I think that we not having a job, I think would cost us more than we would gain. You can look at pets. If you don't take a dog for a walk and you don't throw a ball and you don't have a dog really do something, it becomes miserable very quickly and unhealthy.
Now, let me say this. Do you think that may be a bit tunneled? Let me explain what I mean. Right now, work is as if working for, when we talk about work, we're talking about it under the concept of, let's call it capitalism again, where we're working for somebody. But let me tell you, I am doing what I want to do here, and that is media, etc. Right? Um,
Yes.
I Nobody has to tell me to go to bed at 12 or 1 in the morning or to wake up at 5 in the morning. It is who I am. Yourself as a surveyor, maybe you would be doing something else. I don't foresee that. I think society would develop other things for this new brand of people that only have to work for the man for an average of 10 hours a week. I'm not even saying 10 hours a week. I'm saying things like maybe 3 months on, 4 months off, something like that. Because, I'm not saying you're going to work 2 hours a day. I say you may be on 1 week, off another week, that sort of a thing, right? But the idea being, we are constantly looking through the lens of what was provided to us from the time of feudalism, from the time of serfs, from the time of slavery. Can we expand and think about some other system where we don't have to be working for the other guy? Brother Sarnik is with us. Tom, how you doing? I hope I can hear. Are you in, Tom?
Yes,
Tom?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How you doing, my brother?
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to join the conversation.
Please do.
I'm okay. I'm very interested in what you're talking about. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. We'd like to hear your.
Can you hear me?
We'd like to hear what you. Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Okay.
And we'd like to hear what you're thinking about
I'd like
what
to
we're
join
saying.
the conversation because about is very interesting to me. Because I was actually in a situation where I had to work like 45 to 50 hours a week in accounting and database development. And as a result of that, it was very stressful and it just made me sick. But at one point, I got to a point where I could decide what I wanted to do because I got a retirement from the government as I worked at the Veterans Administration. So I had money coming in, sort of like a universal basic income situation. I had health care through the retirement. So I could basically tell these guys that were overworking me for my job to say, screw you. I don't need this job. And they needed me. So they made me an offer to be an independent contractor. And as a result of that, I decided, okay, I don't need to work 45 to 50 hours a week. I can work 30 hours. I can work 25 hours and get all my work done. And I was also able to double my salary at the same time because I was an independent contractor, didn't need health care, didn't need any of their benefits. And it worked out really well. So I'm saying that in the future, like Egberto was saying, we may not be working down to 10 hours, but let's say we work down to 25 hours or 30 hours. I mean, that would be great. And so if we had Medicare for all and we had some sort of UBI, basic income, I think that would be enough to spur a lot of people to become independent contractors and not be tied to a desk for ridiculous amount of hours and FaceTime and going to worthless meetings, but still get the job done, maybe even better than working all those hours. So I don't know what you think about that.
Oh yeah, let me just say this. I think, and this is where let me tell you. When I came to this country, I would have considered myself a bona fide capitalist, right? And that, you work hard and you do all these things until I uh, learned to think outside of the box. And it's like things don't have to be the way we see things today, right? And so I like what you're saying. And I think more importantly, and I'd like Patrick to chime in here. I want us to start not looking at how things used to be or how things are, but how we are going to change, how we're going to force a change. And that's what I would really love to put this into people's psyche. We are going to make the change. But Patrick, my brother who is a glass falling over.
You've made the statement that outside of capitalism, AI would be much better. I would like to have the statement that if it weren't for capitalism, we wouldn't be considering AI at all, because I wouldn't be trying to replace a coworker with a robot or a program. I wouldn't be swiping left or swiping right on a dating app. I would be going and meeting people in a community. I don't think outside of a capitalist society we would be really putting all this effort into replacing ourselves.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Yeah, let me ask you this, because AI as done by the capitalists is doing exactly what you said, but those are the capitalists. The guys who are creating AI on the bottom line, the guys who are writing the 8021 code, the guys who are doing all this programming, and I'm just telling you that part from experience. It is a joy of actually programming and watching, being able to create the code that do these kinds of things. And never personally as a programmer, and I did real-time SCADA, real-time programming, all that kind of stuff. Never was it done to feel, how should I say? My goal was never what the goal of the capitalist would be. I agree with you. These guys saw something that these engineers came up with, and their thing is they start to salivate. Now, how can we make a profit with this? And to make a profit, just get rid of employees, right? How can we make a profit with? So, I mean, that's where I'm coming
from. Going up. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know, Patrick, if I can sell you on that. I don't think the actual engineers, I'm trying to sell you on this, Patrick. I'm trying to sell it on you. I don't know that the engineers and the scientists. I gave a little talk recently at the CPUSA, and I looked at them and I said, the scientists are the very smart guys. We have like Bruce Pollard in the house, chemist, right? He does a PhD in his field, right? And the engineers look at all these things that's been discovered and said, okay, let me understand it. Hey, teach me that, scientist. Hey, teach me that, scientist. Hey, teach me that, scientist. And then we build something that helps humanity. Engineers are out there to help humanity. That's the goal. That's not the capitalist goals. And if I could convince you that there's a difference between the engineer who works for the capitalist and the capitalist proper.
Well, I don't doubt it, but
yeah.
Do we understand that the engineers that you're speaking of are becoming obsolete? Because large language models and reasoning models aren't programmed. The terminology that they use is they're grown. That you make a lot of data available. You put in some prompts, and even the prompts are becoming automated now. And then I'm not 100% in my understanding of this, but they say it's basically a black box, and then at the other end is a program created by a neural network.
You know what drives me crazy?
There's no lines of code or anything anymore.
Let me tell you what drives me crazy. I don't. Did you want to say something before I said something, Tom?
Well, I agree that that the engineers are just on doing what they have to do, and productivity is going to keep going up and up with AI. That's why the stock market keeps going up, because corporations figure that with less employees they're going to make a bigger profit. My idea, maybe it's pie in the sky. I think that we should stop becoming job dependent for our health care and for our income. Basically, if we had a basic income and health care was basically cheap or free, then we wouldn't be worried about losing jobs. We would be, in fact, my goal, of course, right now I'm working 0 hours because I'm retired and I have a basic income and I have health care I can afford. And I wish everybody was in that position, because people would work because they want to work. They would do like you're doing, Egberto. They would be doing things that they have a passion for, instead of just struggling through a job they hate just to have the basic necessities of life. It's ridiculous. So I'm for AI as long as it's controlled. And as far as capitalism is concerned, the problem with capitalism is that we don't have competition among corporations. We don't have adequate regulation of those corporations, and we don't have adequate taxation or fair taxation. So those are the three things we need to make capitalism a good system that everybody can work with, and then have Medicaid for all, Medicare for all, and also a situation where, if necessary, that would be my goal, to have some sort of basic UBI, and then we'd have a society everybody could live with.
And as soon as we did all those things that you just said, it's no longer called capitalism. It is actually called democratic.
Right.
Well, if you were to label it, it would be called democratic socialism. But
yeah.
the thing that I was about to...
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, like what I wanted to tell...
Well, it shouldn't, and we shouldn't, like you always say. Yeah, go ahead.
I think we're a little bit delayed. So I'm going to pause for 10 seconds and let you talk.
Yeah, I hear an echo. I hear an echo right now, but I don't know why. But I was just going to say that if we didn't have a situation where people had to work for their medical care, we wouldn't have a situation where people are fighting for these jobs, and these lower level jobs are going to go away anyway. So we need to look at the future and say, like in the Nordic countries, they have a great safety net. So if the economy turns down or they lose jobs, nobody starves. Nobody goes without medical care. But in this country, we do.
Exactly. Let me add to this, because and this is where I'm trying wholeheartedly to convince my brother Patrick of something, but I think what it's going to probably take is for us to go ahead and have some burritos together or something. But here is here's a part that I mean. Yeah, he got me some good burritos the last time he came out here to Kingwood. I'm going to have to find that place that he did, man. But anyway, here's the thing, Patrick. It drives me crazy every time I hear about what some of these guys write, because they'll say you put your stuff into ChatGPT, it goes into a black box, and nobody knows how it comes out with the answer it came out with. And I want to pull out the hair that I don't have, because back in my days of programming earlier, we used to have this stuff called self-modifying code. So this is not something new, right? Self-modifying code is where you had limited space or whatever. And it's very hard to debug this kind of code, because you change the code as you're executing the code, and you throw some more code that you create in real time based on inputs in certain parts of memory, and then you jump there to continue writing. Now, when it comes to AI, it's about some clever database management. It's not a black box. There's no black box in programming, right? You have data and you have algorithms, and the algorithms were initially written by a human being. And that algorithm that was initially written by a human being was written in such a manner, in the case of a lot of what I read about AI now, was written in a manner that it allowed itself to do different branch acts based on, okay, I don't know the answer here, but we can let it learn on its own. but it is still following it still has to follow code that was placed into these central processing units. And so it drives me crazy every time I hear that, well, this stuff is as autonomous as it is. It is autonomous to some degree, but it's not, what is the word that this black box theory is just it drives me crazy when I hear that, because again, this is not magic, right? These are ones and zeros moving, and it's not magic. So I want to find a way to convince. Go ahead, Ann.
Well, I was going to say, what drives me crazy is the word algorithm, because I was a programmer. I used Microsoft Access mostly with the Visual Basic. But the thing is,
right,
what an algorithm is basically an if-then statement. If this happens, then this happens. And it's a bunch of nested statements that keep going on and on and on. And what the computer's doing, what AI is doing, it's adding to the list of things it can come up with. In fact, if you go on to Gemini or ChatGPT, you can watch it go through all these sites, and it's picking up all kinds of data, and it's using that in the if-then statement. It's going to come up with an answer for you. But if it misses something, then you're not going to get the correct answer. You're not going to get a complete answer. I've run into situations where AI just came up with garbage, and you have to really be careful with it. So it's not perfect yet, but it's basically an if-then situation. If you do this or you ask this, it's going to come up with an answer, and it's going to do that every time. And it's going to add more data sometimes and pick up different things depending on the program. But it's basically a simple data system.
Yeah, and again, and that is what, again, like I said, I watch all these things about AI, and I sit down and I'm like, my God, folks, all of this stuff is programmed by human beings, and I know what people talk about. Well, the parts that are self-replicating and all that sort of stuff. And my first context is there's nothing new about self-replicating code or self-replicating algorithms, etc. We have been doing that for a long time. I mean, we haven't done it for AI stuff, but But anyway, Patrick, we're coming out. We're at 3:52, and we made this year's show today to talk about AI. Give me your closing thought after we've discussed this, both Tom Zarnick and myself. What are your thoughts? Are you still very much concerned about AI?
Very concerned. The fact that we understand the economic system that we're in is going to cause an issue for this, and that we're going to probably meet some benchmarks in AI before we change this political system. So I think that it might fail there, and there's just a lot of people saying things like the sum of all human intelligence in the next 5 years, 99% unemployment by 2030, and these are people that are being interviewed that are computer scientists in the field.
Let me ask you this: have you ever seen, and this is the interview that I'm looking for, have you ever spoken to an engineer that is actually working on any AI model give a talk about AI?
I don't think so. If you have some, I'd be interested.
Right. Right. And I don't think you're going to be able to see them come out and talk, because a lot of this stuff, right, believe it or not, is to put some, in my opinion, is to put some mystique in. Look, I remember when the days of the 8080 CPU, right? You would have the Intel guy the president, he would come out and talk about how they got all these chips onto one silicon, and you'd have all these guys coming out here and talking, right? The engineers, the scientists. What we have are people talking, many of them who has never written a real piece of code, who have never actually touched the interface between man and computer. I'm not talking about somebody who writes a piece of code that, they don't see the CPU, the central processing unit. I'm talking about people who knows Okay, how that CPU works and so forth. I want to hear from, and believe it or not, I put some queries out there. I want to talk to somebody to see how do you arrange the database to come up with these answers so quickly? Go ahead. Oh, you can't hear me? Oh, I can still hear you.
Is that Patrick?
Yeah, Patrick said he can't hear me. Can you hear me now?
Uh-oh.
Patrick may have hit some button because
I can hear you.
I'm seeing that we're sending to you. You can hear me, right? And I can see that we're transmitting as well.
I can hear you, yeah.
Yeah, Patrick has done something. Patrick, what did you do? You know? Yeah. Let me look at
his maybe AI disconnected him.
Yeah, he's been talking bad about AI.
Anyway,
so AI got to him. But look, thank you. We're going to be shutting down in a minute.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think something happened with his call. Yeah, go ahead and hang up, and we'll take it from there. All right, Patrick, we got Patrick on screen, but Patrick cannot hear us, and we cannot hear Patrick. Talk, Patrick. Let's see if you're back or not. It looked like we lost Patrick. We can still see his handsome face, but I think we have lost Patrick. Let me see. I don't think it's anything on our end. Yeah. Yeah, we can't hear you. I don't know what happened there. All right, Patrick, I'm gonna go to end the show now, and then we'll take it on the other side. All right, look, folks, that was our brother Patrick discussing AI. He's concerned about AI, and what we're gonna do is go ahead and close out the show. I didn't get a chance to read all of your messages, but thank you for participating. I think it's a real subject that needs to be talked about over and over again. I think it is something that we need. And Patrick concerns, I think, are real. I think Patrick concerns are real. And it is something that we have to take seriously as well. But anyhow, folks, we are at 3 minutes. Please remember to support the program however you can. And how can you support Politics Done Right? You can support Politics Done Right by becoming a paid subscribers on our Egberto Off the Record newsletter. And what I'm going to do is put that in the list right now. Here we go. That's the list right there. And I'll put it in the chat as well. Anyway, folks, we enjoyed having Patrick. How many of you enjoyed listening to one of our? And by the way, folks, if you ever have a subject that you want to discuss in full, remember that this is your show. And just like we had Patrick on, we would have other members on as well, because we have to remember this is how we actually get things done. This is how we get things done. Anyway, folks, I got to get out of here. Please support the program however you can. My name is Egberto. Thank you, Cheryl Elkins. How you doing, Cheryl? Just noticed that you're in the room. It's great. And that's what we want to do. We want to engage everybody. And again, by the way, with this system that I have here, eventually I'm going to need a more powerful computer. But with this system that I have here, I can bring up to 7 people into the broadcast all at once. So if anybody have a group that they want us to sit down and have a chat with, we can do that as well. Anyway, folks, support the program. My name is, first of all, love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And thank you, Patrick, for spending almost the entire hour on the program. You guys are the ones that make this stuff happen. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
All of our country's problems, from polarization to ignorance on domestic and international issues to a complete misunderstanding of our economic and healthcare systems, are a direct result of a derelict mainstream media that too often bend over backwards to support corporate or bought politicians' wants as opposed to the people's needs for real information to make their lives better. Independent media is the only solution to inform truthfully and factually. Why? Because our loyalties are to you, the ones who fund us with small dollar contributions and subscriptions. Please consider supporting our independent media platforms by subscribing to our Egberto Off the Record newsletter at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Again, that is politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. It's an investment that pays incalculable dividends.